Spaces. Happy fall. I'm here today to share a project with you that I'm so excited about. I get so many questions over on the blog about how to make these 3D paper pumpkin luminaries. And it's all over there in the blog post, but I just think sometimes we need a video to walk ourselves through it. So these 3D pumpkin luminaries can be coordinated with any color cardstock to match your home decor, but they really shine bright in the evening. When you put an LED light under them, they are just beautiful. I like to put them on my steps heading to our second story, and they just add a nice touch of ambiance and light just to enjoy the fall season. So if you would like to do this project, you can head on over to my blog. It's heartfilledspaces.com, and you can subscribe on the top right menu bar, where once you subscribe, you'll receive an email that will give you the password to the library, where you will receive many different projects. I have so many in there, but this is one of them. And these files are available as SVG, DXF, EPS, PNG, PDF. I've put them all in there so that if you have a cutting machine, you can do this project. I think you're going to love this. It's a fun fall project, and I'm looking forward to showing you how to make them. So let's get started.
So hey guys, here we're over at the website. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of this. So we're on heartfilledspaces.com, and the library tab is right here. If you are not a subscriber, you would need to enter your first name and your email and click sign me up. And then you will be sent a welcome email with the password to enter the library. Then you would just come to this top menu bar, click on the library tab, scroll down, and click in this box, and then you would go ahead and enter the password, and then click enter. And then once you're here, you can, I have a video here that will explain to you exactly how to use the library, how to download files, and you can start scrolling down through and grab any of these projects. There's so many in here, you guys. So I just wanted to give you that quick overview on how to access the library. Here we are in Cricut Design Space. I've already downloaded the file, so I'm going to upload it into Cricut Design Space and show you guys how to bring it in and change the cut lines to score lines, attach, and get everything prepared to create your pumpkins. So we're going to go over here to Upload Image. We're going to browse, and I am going to choose these most updated panels. This might look a little different for you because you're coming from the library. So here is the most updated pumpkin luminary panel that I've created. Really streamline this file. It should cut beautifully for you. So we're gonna make sure this is highlighted in green, and then we're gonna click upload, and then we're gonna choose that file, and we're going to add it to our canvas. Now when this comes in, it looks a little confusing, like it's not there, but if you just click on this and drag it over, the whole thing pops into place. So now what we need to do, this file it's good, it's ready to go, but you need to change these score lines on the pumpkin panels, and then also in another area. So I'm going to show you the fastest way to do this to save you time. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, just like I showed you there, click on the file, and then you can right click with your mouse, and that brings up this menu, and then you can do ungroup. You can also do that over here in the layers, something selected over here. But we're going to have to do this a few times because whenever files come into Cricut Design Space, they're grouped together. So we need to ungroup, keep checking them. Do this one, ungroup. We're going to scroll over a little bit, click on this one, and we're going to do ungroup again. So now everything's all ungrouped and ready to work with. So now on these pumpkin panels here with these vines in them, there are score lines on both sides of these. The fastest way to change these is to click and drag up the middle of one section of these. And then we're going to group it together, and then we're going to hide it. And then we're going to do that to the same one here. We're going to scroll up the middle here and highlight it all. You don't want to highlight these score lines. That's why if you watch again, we're going to go right up the middle here. So we're only selecting the panels. Then we're going to group it, and then we're going to hide again. So now all that's left behind are these lines that need to get turned into score lines. So we're going to highlight all of these lines. Make sure you get them all. And then we're going to go over here to Operation, and we're going to choose Score. That changes everything to score lines. Now what we can do is click off of there, come back over here into your Layers panel, and unhide those. Okay, but there's one more step. You got to, again, drag so you select them all, right-click on it, and then send it to back. And then you see your score lines show up here on top of the file. And we need to do that for this one as well. We need to drag it up the middle. We need to right-click on it, and we need to send it to the back. Okay, so now all of these score lines have been changed. Now we're going to scroll over to this end file because we have just a few more score lines here. There's one here in this brown stem, so you can just click on that. You can see how it highlighted. And then you're going to click Score. And then I would just right away attach those together, because those are easy to forget. Then we're going to grab the wrong thing there. Then we're going to grab here, and we're going to highlight these. And we're going to, again, group them, and then we're going to hide them. And now that reveals all our score lines again. So we can highlight all these score lines, just like so, and then change them to score. Now we can scroll back up over here in your Layers panel and ungroup, so those show back up, but we have to send them to the back again. So we want to highlight it, and then we want to do send to back, and now you can see these score lines all showed up on top. Now we want to highlight everything that's in the same color here. Just going to make it easier, and we want to attach it. These two are different colors, so you're going to want those to print out on different cardstock, so I did not attach them. But all of these panels need to get attached. So we're going to highlight all of these, attach. If you don't do this when you go into make your project, you're going to see these weird lines off on their own. You have to attach them. So we're going to highlight this one, we're going to attach. And these you want to attach because they're vellum, so they're all cutting from the same material. We're going to scroll over and just do this last one here. Attach. So now, that's pretty much it. This file is ready to cut. Now, if you want to resize this, everything is sized together, so it is appropriate the way that it came in. If you were to cut these, they will cut appropriately for the dimensions for one complete pumpkin. Now, what you can do is you can hit your Control and your Alt, Control A key, and that selects everything. So Control A. Now you've got everything selected. I just want to take a moment and show you this here. So this is your aspect ratio. Okay, it is locked, and that's how you want it to be, because if you resize anything, you want to resize it all together. That's really important, because if you resize things in different you know, sections, your pumpkin is not gonna line up when you go to cut this. So you want to make sure everything's selected together, and then you want to resize them together. So Cricut can cut on 8.5 by 11, but that would mean you can only have a height the size of 10.5. If you do 8.5 by 11 on 8.5 by 11 paper, you could cut to 10.5. If you want to cut these on 12 by 12 cardstock and make them a little bit bigger, you can make this height. Just make sure see, if you click this, your aspect ratio is off. And if you were to change one of these numbers, it's going to resize it weirdly. So you need that lock to be on. And then if you wanted to make this, if you wanted to cut this out of 12 by 12 cardstock, you can cut up to 11.5. So you could make it 11.5. And because this lock button is on here on the aspect ratio, when I change it, everything's going to resize the same. And see, I had everything selected together. So now if you were to go to make it, you can see here, you've got your score lines, you've got, you know, everything lined up. You've got your canvas that's going to cut on 12 by 12. And it's telling you, you know, score, basic cut, score, basic cut. And this is good. This is what it should look like. If you see a blank canvas here with straggler lines on it, that means you did not attach your score lines in the previous page. Okay, so we're looking good here. These are all 12 by 12 cardstock. That's how I'm going to go ahead and cut it. And then we're going to click continue. So the other thing that's really important with these pumpkin luminaries is it needs to be 65-pound cardstock or slightly heavier, but it can't be less than 60, 65-pound cardstock. They will not stay in its shape if you go with a lightweight paper. So it's very important that you use, you know, a 65-pound cardstock to make your pumpkins. So now I have connected my Cricut Maker to the software, and I'm getting ready to choose my material. So I'm going to choose the light cardstock, 65-pound. And you can just, you know, do a little bit more pressure, and it'll just help out a little bit because it's a detailed pattern we're cutting out. And then I'm going to head over here real soon to my Cricut and kind of show you from there. But it's telling you here, you know, you're going to load your 12 by 12 cardstock, starting here with number 1, and then it wants you to load the scoring wheel first in clamp B, and then load your mat. And then the next step would be the fine point blade. So let's go ahead and head over to my Cricut machine, and you can see what that looks like on that side of things.
So hey guys, we're over here now. I've sent the file to my machine. I've loaded the cardstock on a light grip mat. You can use a standard mat that's been used a little bit. You just don't want it to be too sticky because when you go to peel your paper, you don't want the cardstock to stick too much to your cutting mat. So we're going to go ahead and load the mat into the machine. And then we need to change the wheel. Right now I have the fine point blade in there. I'm going to take that out, and we are going to use this scoring. Let's see if I can bring it up and show you guys. This is a scoring wheel. So this is going to take care of all those score lines for you, and then we'll go back and we'll cut. So I'm going to load that in, and then I'm just going to hit my Cricut button, and it's going to start scoring for you to kind of show you what it's going to do.
So hey guys, here we are in Silhouette Studio, and I'm going to go ahead and open the files, the SVG file, and you can see here it's just showing the far right side of the files. So if you do Control minus on your keyboard, you can zoom out and see everything. We're going to need to start out by just ungrouping everything because it comes over grouped. Okay, and then we'll zoom in on whatever's on our canvas just right now because we got to change these to score lines. So if you look here, these are score lines. So this is a score line. So we're just going to go over here and we're going to change it to a dash. And then these are all, you got to make sure we're grabbing the right ones here. Make sure you get right on top of these. See, that did not pick it. You can see the little rectangle shows around the line when you got it. There it is. We need this guy, this one, and that one. I just want to make sure none of these are selected. So there we go. You can see all these little rectangles around these. These are score lines. So we're going to go up here and we're going to change it to dashes. Okay. And then we change this one to a score line. Okay, so now we're going to scroll. I'm going to just Control minus out so you guys can see what I'm doing. And then we're going to scroll over to the left. And then these are also all score lines. So we got to click on each of these. I'm going to try to gather them. It's probably just easier to select them all like this and then hold your shift key down and deselect these individual panels. And you can tell by the boxes disappearing what I'm doing. You can see now that there's these little rectangles all around each of these score lines here, if you look. Okay, so we're just going to go up here to the line panel and we're going to change those to dashed lines so they turn into score lines. Okay, so now our file's pretty much ready for cutting. So what I'm going to do here is, this is kind of set to 8.5 by 11. I want to set my page size. You can do that up here with this little icon. And we're going to set it to 12 by 12. By 12. Okay, so now it's going to cut on 12 by 12 cardstock. If we wanted to, I'm just going to do this really quick. I'm going to highlight all of this. I'm going to right click and I'm going to group it together. And then I'm going to drag it off of this canvas for right now. We're going to come over here and we're going to grab one of these sets of pumpkin panels. We can just grab that and we're going to drag it right over here onto our canvas. And you can see we could make this bigger to make just so we have bigger pumpkins, right? So what we want to do in order to do this is do what I did here. You want to drag one of them onto your canvas, kind of make it in the upper left corner. We're not going to be able to make them too much bigger, but what's really important here, if you want to make these larger, is zoom out, so you hit your Control minus key, and make sure you grab, I think, Control All. So Control A selects everything on your canvas. And now that you see this one is right here on your 12 by 12 mat, you can make sure your aspect ratio is locked. So this little lock up here, I don't know if it's going to work for us. I think if we just hold our shift key down we can hold this corner and we can drag a little bit, and that's going to make all the files bigger together so that we're not sizing anything in improperly. So again, you got to hold the shift key down, you hover over this corner, and then you can drag all the files together. Make sure you've selected everything, Control Alt, Control A. So that's probably about as big as we are going to get and still fit on the 12 by 12 cardstock. So what we can do now is just highlight these, drag them off into the gray area. I would highlight all these. I like to put everything on the left side of my canvas. So that's how I would do that. Okay, and now I'll go ahead and zoom in so you can see this one panel really well. So you can see that these are now score lines, they're dashes, and this is pretty much ready to cut. So we can come over here and go to our send panel, and it's showing in bright red the cut lines and the score lines. And then we're going to choose over here, we do want to choose heavy cardstock. In order to do this project, you have to do 60-pound cardstock or thicker. It's the only thing that supports the weight of the pumpkin so that it keeps its shape nice and round. So you do need thicker cardstock. It needs to be, I recommend 60 or 65-pound cardstock. You can go up to 80. It's a little more work cutting it. So at this stage, we're going to go ahead and change our cut settings. You can see everything in red is where we are going to cut. So the easiest way for me to do this is you can create your own custom material, but I choose the cardstock textured heavy. And then I go over here and you want your blade to be set at a 5. And then you want your force to be at 30. Speed 4 is good. And these and then just 1 pass. And these will be some good cut settings to get your cardstock ready to go. So I'm connected via Bluetooth to my machine. My mat is loaded, and I'm going to go ahead and cut. But you may want to run a test cut your first time through just to make sure. I've done just so many of these, but you may on your machine, if your blade is more dull or you're using a different version, you will want to do a test cut to make sure that everything's cutting properly, because these panels do take, especially these ones with the leaves, they take a little time to cut, and you want to make sure your cut settings are set properly before you get started so you don't waste time or material. So I'm going to go ahead and hit send. So then I just wanted to show you, I took the rest of the pumpkin pieces and put them on the cut mat, and we're going to go ahead and send these now. Make sure you, again, before you cut any cardstock, make sure you always do a test cut to make sure things are working. I've had to switch over to 2 passes. My blade is just dull on my machine, so you're going to have to, typically if you have a new auto blade and you're cutting 60-pound cardstock or 65-pound cardstock, your blade will be set for 5, your force will be 30, your speed will be 4, and you can get away with 1 pass. But it's going to vary depending upon how much your blade has been used and how thick the cardstock is that you're using. So always do a test cut just to save yourself paper and hassle. So we're going to go ahead and send this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take these pieces off of our mat. I'm going to drag them down over here. I'll zoom out. And we pretty much just have these vellum panels now. For silhouette, you can just move one of these on here and then just cut it twice, because you need a total of 12 of these panels. I just set the SVG files up that way so people aren't confused. So you need a total of 12 vellum panels, a total of 12 leaf panels. These are your pumpkin parts, and then you have a stem and a leaf up here. So I just wanted to show you as well that I changed my paper width and height to 8.5 by 11 for the vellum. It just makes it easier when you cut out to know that, you know, it's all on the same page. I did ungroup them and kind of squish them together a little bit just to make sure everything's fitting real nicely on one page. And you can kind of spread this out, and then you can highlight them all. And you can come over here and evenly space them. I'll give you a nice even gap in between. So, you know, we're going to go to send with our vellum. 2 again did not cut for me because I'm working with a dull auto blade. So I'm bumping it up to a 3 now, and that's it. And we're going to hit send. Okay, so our last 2 files that need to be sent are the stem and the leaf, and I've set my settings back to heavy cardstock, auto blade. I have this set on 734, and I am doing 2 passes. It's just thick cardstock and my blade is dull. So that's what I need. Those are the settings I need to use. Again, you'll need to test your cardstock and your blade before you send, just to make sure everything is cutting properly. So here we go. Here's the last couple pieces, and then I'll show them to you all together. So I just wanted to take a minute and go over if you need to use the DXF files and kind of show you what that looks like. So we're going to do File, Open. And we're going to grab PNG, PS. This is the DXF file. And I just want to show you how this looks different. Again, this is the file you would have to use if you don't have Designer Edition or the Business Edition. So right away I'm going to show you this open, it's hidden. So you have to hit Control minus to even find the file, because it's, you know, it's going to come in way up here. And the other thing is nothing comes in grouped with the DXF file. So you want to kind of hold them all together. And we're going to zoom in. I'm just doing Control plus. And I'm not actually going to cut these files, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So this would be like your first section that you cut. We're going to drag it onto the canvas. We're going to take these individual lines here, and we're going to change them to score lines up here. And then we're going to go ahead and select each of these. You can hold your Shift key down. Each of these score lines, there's 8 of them. And we're going to change those to score. And then you're going to want to group these together because we don't want anything to get moved around. So just highlight everything and group it all together. And there's your pumpkin parts. If you want, what you can do also is just group your stem. And that way you can cut that in a different color cardstock. You move it off your screen. But then for the rest of these, then your leaf will obviously be a different color. For the rest of these, you're going to want to group them together. Then you're going to want to, if you hit Control minus, you can scroll out and then see everything that's going on here in the gray area of the canvas, off the canvas in the gray area. So we're going to drag these closer. Zoom in. I'm going to take these off the canvas. Those are ready to go. And then what we need to do is you only need to do one of these because you can just cut it twice. But I'm just showing you, you're going to drag this onto the canvas. If you hold your space bar down, you can drag your canvas around. Control plus and control minus resizes everything. So for these pumpkin panels here, you need to highlight these lines, these fold lines. And then there's these little ones on the other side. You know you got the right thing because a little triangle, or I'm sorry, a little rectangle will show up around the line when you click on it. And then you'll know you got it right. So you're going to highlight all of those. Then you're going to change it to score like that so they turn into dashes. And then it's really important that you group these together. Okay, so then you can, this is now ready to cut and score. And then what you're going to want to do with these vellum panels, drag them in, oops. Again, you only need one of these, you can cut it twice. So what's important with this is vellum is only 8.5 by 11. So what I would do is I would change your screen size to 8.5, or your canvas size to 8.5 by 11, just to make sure everything is landing where it needs to on there, and it does, it looks fine. So, and I would even group, just group these together, because everything comes ungrouped in these DXF files. And that's pretty much all you need. You wouldn't even have to worry about these because you set up your other two. You would just cut these twice. So you would cut 2 of the vellum, which is this one here. You would cut 2 of these pumpkin panels. Now, of course, you're going to have to change this back then to 12 by 12 cardstock. Okay. And then, when you're done cutting 2 of those, you can cut your leaf and your stem. And then there's these, the supports in the top and the bottom. So that's how you would use the DXF file once you bring it in. Okay, so we have these are all of our pieces. We have 12 cut pieces of vellum. We've got 12 of the vine panels cut. We have 4 of the supports. This is your pumpkin stem. This is your 2 bottom pieces of your pumpkin. And these are your 2 top pieces and your leaf. So I'm going to be using these 2 types of glue. We've got just a plain old glue stick, which I find to be probably the easiest method. And then just for the top and the bottom parts, I like to use the tacky glue. It's going to hold it together much nicer for you and keep things all tight in place where they belong. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to just move all these things out of the way. And we're going to start with these panels here. There's a score line on here. We're going to fold them all 12 so that these little edges are facing up. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. You guys can follow along.
got all our panels. There's 12 of them now. All our little vellum palette panels here. They're starting to dry. And here's where we're gonna get started putting it together. So I'm gonna start with the top piece. We're done with our glue stick now. I only use that for the vellum. This tacky glue works really nice for this part. So what we're gonna do is, the idea here is each one of these, the skinny part of this panel up here, and this is the top. So we're gonna line these up on here. We're gonna glue them all so they're attached, okay? So we're gonna get our tacky glue. We're just gonna put a little bit on each tab. And we're gonna work our way around this shape. It may take you a second, you know, and you might get some on your fingers. It's just the way it works. I'm gonna do the next. So this has had a few minutes to dry. You can tell they're on there nice and good. And then we're gonna just take this next little panel and just kind of seal those tabs all in the middle. Just kind of cleans things up and makes it look nice. I'm just gonna smear this glue around, tacky glue, like that. Maybe don't put too much on. And then we're just going to line these slits up. Press that on there. If you get some excess glue, just wipe it off with your finger. It'll dry clear. Probably put too much glue on that, but you guys are getting the idea. Okay, so this is, I mean, we are getting there. This is almost done. We're going to lift this off of here. Gonna kind of just make sure everything's nice and together and lined up. Again, that will all dry clear. So what we're gonna, I'm just gonna smear this glue a little bit so it's not messing things up. Okay, so these are your supports. Like they're gonna pull the top of your pumpkin down to kind of give it that nice rounded shape. So what we're gonna do with these is we're gonna fold them you know, the score lines on the edges, so you can kind of see what I'm doing there. I'm going to do the 4 of those. Okay. Then we're gonna flip this so the inside of the pumpkin is facing up. And we need to attach these. It's not super important where they go, they just need to be spaced out evenly. Just for this side, we're just gonna stick them like this. Because what these do is they pull the pumpkin down and kind of give it the rounded shape. We need to put these on. And we want to let this dry just a little bit. You don't want to, if you're working with the tacky glue wet, it might come apart on you. Although it's pretty sticky. I don't have too many issues with it. I'll put one over here. And then one more right here. See how I kind of spaced them out evenly? Get that tacky glue kind of in there. Okay. Okay guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to make the stem next. So this is the cutout piece. This is not an exact science. It's not hard to do, it just takes a little practice. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take like a nice thin paintbrush or something very skinny, and then we're gonna wrap the stem around a paintbrush. We're just gonna kind of zhuzh it. I'm using some pretty thick cardstock here. If you use like a little thinner paper, it might be a little easier. As you just kind of roll that around there till we get it shaped a little bit. Okay. That's kind of what you're looking for. You can let it go a little and then just kind of shape it some more. Just kind of twist it to kind of force the paper to do what we want it to do. Okay. You can start to see how that little stem is taking place there. Now what we want to do is we want to fold this in the opposite direction, like that. I actually think it would be better to do it right here. You know, this is just going to take a little bit of practice just to kind of, you know, feel it out, get the stem looking the way you want it to. It's not an exact science. Okay, and then what we're going to do, we fold that guy back. We're going to put a little bit of tacky glue right here. Just kind of hold this stem in place until it grips a little bit. It's going to take a second for the tacky glue to set up. We're just kind of work it a little bit. And it's starting to get there now. It's starting to dry a little bit. And you can see how it's taken the shape of the stem. And you just want to work, again, just work the paper to get it to where you know you want it to be. Now, the idea here is we want to fold this kind of backwards, and then we want to snip. Not too much, because we don't want to, obviously we don't want the cardstock to break on us. But we're gonna snip some of this off. You just gotta kind of work with it. I'll keep it in front of the camera here so you guys can see. Because the idea here is to get this closed up with the glue down here and have that, you know, tab be able to slip into that slot there. And I'm going to just kind of narrow it down a little bit. The only point, all you need is for that to kind of go in there and hold. Okay, so this is looking pretty good, except for my tacky glue came off a little bit. So I'm going to add a little bit more there. Again, this is not an exact science. You just got to kind of zhuzh the stem. It's the only part of the project you just kind of wing a little bit. But it gives it that nice 3D effect. Makes it look cute. All right, so when you get to something along these lines, you slip that into the slot, and then we're gonna flip it over and we're gonna glue that down. So we're gonna flip our thing over. I'm gonna grab our tacky glue, put that on the back of the stem there, and glue that down. So this is all on the inside of the pumpkin. No one's ever gonna see it, but it's gonna hold your stem in place. And that's kind of where we're at. And then, you know, when you get back over here, you can kind of work with that paper a little bit. You can always put a little bit of glue under there and hold it upright. And then, you know, we'll be putting this little stem here. Probably wouldn't, that's what I would do, as I would glue it down like that. But for now, that's as far as we need to get, because we're gonna start putting this pumpkin together now. So we're gonna flip it over. This is where we're at. Now we're gonna take these bottom panels, and we're gonna follow these guys. I might have folded them in the wrong direction, but they go on the inside like this. We'll do that last. I'm just kind of showing you how this is going to come together. And just for the sake of the camera, I'm going to put these up so you can, they're not in the way. So we're going to start with the tacky glue, and we are literally going to follow this edge. And this is where our pumpkin's going to start coming together. So you can add a little glue. This is where it gets kind of fun. And you want to center these as best you can on each of the little edges. There's one. And if they're tight, you know, you can slip it either inside or outside, but just do them all the same. I'm going to put some here. This is where I like this part. This is where it gets kind of fun. How your hard work starts to pay off and it takes shape. So just a quick peek at the pumpkin, and then I'm going to show you the LED candles that you can put underneath. And I'll show you some night shots of these cute pumpkins. I just love the way they look when we light them up. So I have a couple of different types of LED lights that can go under. These are my absolute favorite, and I like them because there's a little remote control. So you put these things under there, and then you can turn them on with the remote control every night, and that's really nice. You don't have to worry too much about it. And they come in like all these different colors. You can see you can switch this little guy, and it changes the colors. I like white, so, and then you just set that right underneath your pumpkin, and it lights up. And I'll show you these later on my steps and that. And what's so nice about these is when you're done, you just use the remote and turn it off. But another really nice option that I think is cute are these little guys too. They're like a warm, glowy light. And again, at night this is really pretty, and they just switch on underneath, and you can put that underneath there. It's not as bright. You could put a couple of them in there is how I do it, but they come out really cute. So that's it, you guys. We did it. We made it through the whole 3D pumpkin tutorial, and I'll be sharing some more photos here real soon. Thanks so much for watching.